Welcome to a fraction lesson. Today we are talking about partitioning or dividing a whole into equal parts and being able to identify and count unit fractions. It says by folding fraction strips. If you were able to make those with Ms. Ferraris the other day, great, you can use those today. If you didn't, it would be great if you would go back and make them. If you were unable, that's okay, we'll continue going on. A quick reminder that a unit fraction is simply when you have one part of the whole. So you could have one part out of 2, 1/2, or one part out of 8. A unit fraction is when you're talking about just one part of the whole. Okay, so instead of not 2/8, just 1/8. You're going to start off. We're going to start off here with an application problem. So grab a pencil and a piece of paper and go ahead and try this on your own. It says, Steffi needs to cut a piece of paper into 6 equal parts. Draw at least 3 pictures to show how Steffi can cut her paper so that all the parts are equal. So go ahead and give that a try. Okay, so as you've come back, you should have 3 different ways to split a piece of paper, just like a rectangle or a square, into 6 pieces. So here are a few options. So 6 vertical columns, 6 vertical rows, 6 rectangles this way or 6 rectangles that way, as long as they all have the same surface area. So as a reminder, equal parts are when the shape you partition or divide into smaller sections or pieces are the exact same size. They're called equal parts. Another way to think about this is if you're dividing something to eat, is it fair for everyone? So think about equal parts means a fair share. In contrast, non-equal parts is when they're not equal, when the shape you partition or divide into smaller sections are not the same size. They're called non-equal parts. So when we're talking about fractions, we're always talking about equal parts where the unit fraction, or 1 over however many parts you split it into, are the same exact size. So let's give this problem a try. You can either pause the video and give it a try on your own, or we can solve it together. So if you want to give it a shot on your own, go ahead and pause now. Otherwise, let's go ahead and do it together. So I'm thinking about my read, draw, and write. So my first job is to read. Frank and his brother Sam share a pie. Frank ate 1/8 and Sam ate 5/8. How much of the pie did they eat in all? Okay, my second job is to I'm going to underline and then I'm going to draw it. So what are my important pieces of information? Well, Frank ate 1/8 and Sam ate 5/8. And then the question, which is what I'm looking for, what I'm solving for, is how much did they eat in all? So I know that I'm going to take the amount Frank ate and add it to the amount that Sam ate. So I'm thinking of the draw part of my process here. How am I going to draw this math problem? I need to represent it somehow. You could do it as a rectangle, like a tape diagram. You could use a square to be your model. I'm going to choose a circle because, well, we're talking about a pie, of course, and that's what makes sense to me. So I'm just going to do my best with a circle there. I'm going to split it into 8 equal parts. Now, you might be wondering, but how do you know it's 8? Well, I can see from the denominator of both of these fractions, it's telling me that the pie was split into 8 equal parts. So I know that I can split my circle into 8 equal parts. So here we have 4 equal parts, and then I know I need to split them again. So I also can think about that because 4 multiplied by 2 will give me 8. So I know I can divide each one into 2 parts, and now I have 8 altogether, 4 on the top and 4 on the bottom. So now I need to continue to represent it visually, and I'm going to use different colors. So Frank ate 1/8. So here I have my 8s. He ate 1 of them. And then I need to look at Sam. Sam ate 5/8. He must have been a little bit hungrier than Frank. So he ate 5/8. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So now, again, I'm returning to my question to see what was it asking me to look for. How much of the pie did they eat in all? Well, I know I have these 5/8 and then another one, 6/8. So altogether, they ate 6/8. I'm going to write together because they ate 6/8 together. Okay, so 6/8 of the pie together. All right, let's go on to the next problem. We just have one more example. Okay. Violet colored 1/4 of a coloring book. Her 3 friends want her to share the rest with them. How will they each get a fair share of the coloring book? So go ahead and pause the video and give this a try on your own, remembering how are you going to represent it visually? And then come back to the video and we'll solve it together. Okay, so I hope that you have some sort of visual representation written on your paper, but here we go. This is how I'm going to represent it. But first, I'm going to reread my question and underline the important information. So Violet colored 1/4 or 1/4 of a coloring book. Her 3 friends want her to share the rest with them. Now, when I see something like this, when we're talking about friends, my brain automatically goes to, is Violet included or not? How many people total are there? So it says her 3 friends. So I'm thinking of Violet's 3 friends plus her. So altogether, we're talking about 4 people. Okay, so I'm going to keep that in mind as I'm reading the rest of my problem. So her 3 friends want her to share the rest with them. How will they each get a fair share of the coloring book? Okay, so we've already figured out there are 4 people. I'm going to put 4P for 4 people. And Violet already colored 1/4 of a coloring book. Now I'm trying to think about what that would look like. So I'm going to use a tape diagram, which is just really a long rectangle to help me represent my coloring book. So here I have my one whole coloring book. And there are 4 people. And I also notice, conveniently, that Violet colored 1/4 or 1/4 of a coloring book. Remember, that denominator tells us how many parts the whole was split into. So the coloring book was split into 4 parts. 1, 2, 3, and then 4. So if Violet colored 1 of the 4 parts, let's color her part in. Violet colored in 1 of the 4 parts. I'll put a V for Violet. Then what about her 3 friends? Well, it looks like we could have 1 friend here, another friend here, and another friend here. So luckily, they all get to color 1/4 or 1/4 of the coloring book. Again, I'm going to put CB for coloring book. So how will they each get a fair share of the coloring book? They each get 1/4. That I wanted to make sure I answered my question before I'm moving on. All right, today that's our last example, and today you're going to put your knowledge of fractions to use in your classwork slides. It may not load for me here. Here we go. So you've got 2 pages to do. The first one is talking about equal parts. The first page is talking all about equal parts. And when it says is shaded or are shaded, the shaded ones are the ones that are darker. Imagine like you're shading it in with a pencil. And then the second one has some different word problems. So read carefully, underline, draw, and then solve. And then a final reminder, this one right here is number 3. And then 4 has 2 parts, 4A and 4B. So keep in mind that all of the second part of the second page goes together. Okay, if you have any questions, let your teacher know and they will help you. Good luck.